Hi everyone, my name's Laura from School Show No Drama, and today I'm here with Katherine Nelson to talk about her school production at Over-Newton College. So Katherine, thanks for talking with me today.
No worries, thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us about your production this year.
So this year we did The Boy from Oz. We were very lucky that we were the very first school in the world to do it.
Yep.
No school had tackled the show before.
Yeah,
Some amateur companies had, but no schools. So that was really exciting for us to choose that show. When we ultimately chose it, we didn't know we'd be the first school to do it. But when we found out that news, that was really exciting.
Yeah, wow. It's a big undertaking, that show, isn't it?
It is. It's huge, particularly for the student who's going to play Peter Allen. That's huge.
So did you have that student in mind before you started?
We had a few boys in mind that we thought might be able to handle the role. But I guess in terms of choosing that show, you've got to know that you do have the right person to play Peter Allen, and you've got appropriate people that can play Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli. Because playing real life people is really hard for the students to get that kind of concept. A lot of research needs to go into it, and there needs to be a certain look for that as well. So. We needed to consider that when we chose the show. Yeah,
and do you do that every year? You always sort of have something in mind before you start?
Yes.
Is that the secret? We don't tell anyone.
Yeah, you've got to choose your show depending on the kids that you've got. So if you know that you've got a couple of, senior students that are quite capable of lead roles, then we know that you can choose shows appropriate to that. But we have a lot more girls than boys that do the show, and at times I feel like that limits our show choice because we couldn't, I don't think it's something like at this stage do a show like West Side Story that's got lots of boys roles in it and only fewer girls roles. We kind of have to do the opposite, have more of the girls roles and then...
I think that's the case for a lot of schools actually.
Yeah, even though we're a co-ed school, we can't quite even up the numbers at this stage. We're getting better. We're getting better, but
And what was your role in the production?
So I'm the director of the production. I also did quite a bit of choreography. We did have a choreographer for the show, but she had to go on maternity leave during our rehearsal process. So I then took over some choreography after that. But mainly my role was to direct.
Wow. And so what do you think students get out of doing a school production each year? Why is it important for the students?
I just think it gives them a fantastic opportunity to work within a group and become like a little family, but also the opportunity to perform on stage. So we have lots of students that choose to do the musical for different reasons. So we have some students that just want to have a go and, find new friends and find like-minded people and hang out and do all that. But then we have some students that are really into the performing arts and that want to take that opportunity to strive for lead roles and get that performance under their belt in the event that they want to go on and do that outside of school.
Do you have a lot of students who go from the school production and become professional performers?
Yeah, we do. We're actually really lucky at the moment. We've got quite a few people working in the industry. Two of our most recent students, we've got one that's a member of High Five.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
The newest member? Or?
Yeah, one of the new members of High Five. And then we've got another student that's been in Strictly Ballroom.
And that must be very rewarding for you as a teacher to follow their careers.
To know that they were in our school musicals and played lead roles, and then they were able to go off and work professionally in the industry. So
wonderful.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah. And so what was the most difficult aspect of presenting Boy from Oz this year? What was challenging?
There were lots of challenging aspects to Boy from Oz. The first hurdle we had was when we announced the show, a lot of the younger kids didn't know it. They didn't know who Peter Allen was.
No.
So that kind of took a little bit of coaxing in terms of getting them to understand what the show was about. Once they understood it, they absolutely loved it. But that was a little bit of a hurdle. The other hurdle came with a few apprehensive parents and staff about the content of the show. So Peter Allen is this amazing entertainer, and for us that was always at the forefront of what the musical was about. But throughout the musical we do find out that he's in a homosexual relationship, and we would need to have two boys sing a love duet to each other on stage. He did die of AIDS, and so did his boyfriend. So there were issues and topics that come up in the show There's also the drug overdose of Judy Garland and things like that, and the Stonewright Walk, the riots. So all of that, the content of the show was hard to kind of explain to teachers and parents how we'd go about that. And but in the end, once they saw the show, it is about how you tackle that on stage and how you choose to block those scenes and perform those scenes.
So how did you choose to tackle that? Was it just by toning it down a bit? Or?
Yeah, well, in terms of the relationship between Peter and Greg, I always looked at that from a drama teacher's point of view. And in drama, we look at space, and I looked at space between. So their relationship starts with a lot of space between them, and then as they get closer in their relationship, the space becomes smaller and they get closer. And it is about workshopping it with the two boys. So it's what they feel comfortable in doing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we blocked those scenes 3/4 of the way through the rehearsal period. But in the last week, after being on rehearsal camp and having production week and being really close, they felt a lot more comfortable with that scene and started to explore some, hand movements or, the touching of one on one's heart and things like that. So that was all driven by them and how comfortable they felt. And
I suppose it would be the same whether it was a homosexual relationship or a heterosexual relationship, really.
Exactly.
You've always got to deal with that issue if you're presenting that in your show.
Exactly. And one of the things that was in our favour, and I guess was a bit of a push for us to do the show as well, is that we've joined the Safe Schools Coalition, which is all about supporting same-sex relationships. And so I knew that our school was supporting that, and we have a group formed called the Standout Group that deal with same-sex relationships. And we thought, well, what great initiative for us to be able to combine those two things and support it all as one curriculum within the school. So that worked in our favour.
Yeah, still quite a challenge though. So yeah. And what about the technical side of the show? Because it's a big production. It's there's a lot going on. So how did you tackle that?
We are very lucky that we got backlight to do a lot of our lighting and sound, and we had multimedia as well. And that all happened just by me being at a Drama Vic conference a couple of years ago.
They're always there.
Went to the backlight stand and I thought, wow, you could really help us out here. And so we met with them. We've used them for a couple of years, but we met them in February. We planned everything out before we'd even started auditioning, blocking, anything. So I knew that we weren't going to have a set for this show. We were going to rely on lighting and multimedia.
Yeah, wow.
So that was...
So did you use projectors? Is that...
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and we had our band on stage.
Wow.
Because Peter Allen does a lot of things in concert.
Yes.
And so we had to nut that all out with backlight before we could even start blocking anything. And to have their expertise was amazing.
Yeah, great company.
Yeah, so I highly recommend them. But they were our godsend. So without them, I don't think our show could have been as technical as what it was. The other thing that's really important for us is that we don't necessarily have a rehearsal pianist with us. So we were able to get a CD of all the backings to help us, and that helped us in our rehearsal process.
Yeah, wow. And I suppose the next big question is how do you manage your budget? Because I mean, you have a bit of money to put towards the production, so that obviously is same as some schools and different to other schools. So.
Yeah, we are very lucky that our school does support it in terms of budget. I guess we've just got to make sure we get it back in ticket sales.
Right.
And
so you have to cover the whole amount?
Yes, pretty much. Well, that's the aim.
Yeah.
We don't really aim to make the money, but we do like to cover it. So all of our costs with backlight are very much covered within our ticket sales and things like that. I guess where our expenses get a little bit out of hand is with costume-wise.
Right.
We have a lot of kids to costume. But the way we look at costuming is you can always reuse a costume. You might need to modify it or change it or hire it out to other schools, which we've done. So last year we did Hairspray, and this year we've hired out those costumes twice.
Yeah, right.
For different schools. So little things like that where we don't mind spending that extra money if we know that we're going to get that back at some point.
Do you have a lot of storage on campus?
That's an issue. We do have an allocated room for costumes.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so we're lucky.
It goes on beyond the opening and closing night, doesn't it? It's all year round.
It does.
Yeah,
and it's packing the costumes as well so that they stay, nice and clean and things like that.
Okay, so, the school show at this school is obviously very valued by the community. So how does it benefit the school, would you say, in terms of, does it attract students? Does it,
It does. We get a lot of families that come to see the show that are very interested in our performing arts program. I guess we're really lucky that the school does value the performing arts. We've always competed in Rocker Stedfords. We've always done school musicals. We do a junior musical as well. So we start the kids in grade 5 and 6. We do a full-scale junior musical and then we do a senior musical as well. We actually do 2 junior musicals. We do one a semester because we have so many kids that want to do it. Yeah. That we do the same show. We do it in semester 1 and then in semester 2, but with a different cast. And so we're really lucky that they just support what we want to do, and that filters out throughout the community. And particularly with doing a show like Boy from Oz, we got lots of publicity from the local newspapers and things like that. The Herald Sun even posted something on it. Wow. Because we were the first school in the world to do it.
Wow. And so there are schools that, maybe don't have a performing arts department. Maybe there's an enthusiastic teacher that's wanting to start one up. What would you say to someone who was sort of getting into this area?
My first advice would be is musicals can be and are bigger than Ben-Hur. Yes. So my advice is to start very small and build from there. So something similar to what we do with our junior musical, where we actually buy the rights to a junior musical. You get your musical in a box. You get assistance with choreography if you need it. You get a backing track to be able to use that. And then just work your sets and costumes very minimalistic to start with and then build from that. Because once you start, you'll get momentum and you'll get the kids involved, you'll get parents involved and things like that. But if you're just starting out, I would go with something quite junior, like a junior musical, and just start from there.
It's really good advice. Well, thank you so much. It was really good to hear about Boy from Oz. And what are you planning for next year? Can you tell us yet or not?
We don't know. We do have a meeting next week. So our production finished last week. So we have a 2-week break and we're back on board next week. Awesome. And we'll have a discussion then.
Awesome. Sure. All right, well, good luck with that and thanks for talking with us today.
Thanks so much, Laura.